It's International Coaching Week, and from May 13th to May 19th. And the theme this year is what is it? I've just forgot. The power and impact of coaching. The power and impact of coaching. And so what I'm doing is I'm interviewing some of my very favorite coaches and friends. And one of those people is my friend Becky. Becky and I work together at Amazon and have stayed friends all these years. And we've kind of woven our way into similar kind of careers. And when I thought about doing this, I was like, oh, gotta talk to Becky. So Becky, why don't you tell us about you and a little bit about how you ended up in coaching, and how it shows up for you?
Yeah, well, I just want to say it's been so great to be inspired by you and have had you as a colleague and to have stayed connected and woven through and just like
Yeah,
psyched to be doing this with you and think it's so great what you did for International Women's Day and what you're doing now. So this is super fun. Thanks for having me.
of course. I'm excited.
Yeah. So how I became a coach, I mean, as you know, we would need a proper 2 days to get through the story and the journey of how I've been designing my life and the
Yes.
circumstances that kind of led me here. It's funny though, when I was thinking about this, at one point in my life, I thought I was going to be a soccer coach. So I never thought I'd be a life coach, but
Right.
there are some elements there. So I think that was kind of in me from an early age. But more specifically in the last 7 years, I went through this crazy time where my husband was hit by a car, walking across the street. I spent 3 months living in a hospital.
Yeah.
Air ambulance to another state. And then a few years after that, COVID happened.
Right.
And this was all around the time that I had completed an extensive leadership program that led me to start working with one of the more prominent coach training and leadership development companies. So I had the privilege to steep in this work in all aspects of it. I was a product manager there, but we're walking the talk, living in that world. And so, a few years after COVID, I was emerging into my very changed life, um, and then lost my job like so many other people. And I was just like looking out at the world and reflecting on everything that life had was showing me and looking deep inside myself and just decided that like I wanted to give back from my hardships and my successes and the privilege of my experience of getting to be trained and do this work. So, so for me, this is really about like being able to look at the meta circumstance of our current human condition right
Yeah.
now, like whether it's climate change, COVID, the wars that we're experiencing with the way governments are intimidating and like abuse of power, all of that stuff. I just see these as really um, powerful invitations for all of us to transcend binary thinking
Yeah.
and just become way more sophisticated and bold to be able to dance in this more nebulous, nuanced intersection of the polarities and paradoxes that are just inherent to our lives and the world that we want to create. And I want to be a part of that. I want to like give back and I want to be a part of that. So I like in a time where our world needs more people modeling like permission and acceptance for living in alignment
Yeah.
with the world they want to create. I just can't think of more critical thing for each of us to continue to develop in ourselves. And this is my way of contributing and giving back to that. So
Yeah.
that's how it's showing up for me.
Oh, I love that. And I think you're absolutely right. Like, I assume that throughout time, people would be like, oh, the world's crazy. And everybody felt like it was crazy, but it feels like it's been extra crazy, like just the last 5, 6 years, right? It feels like it's like amped up. And I think there are so many people out there who just need a partner to think with them through, what do I want? What does this transition look like? How will I find more joy in the midst of all the chaos and craziness? How do I find that alignment with who I really, all those questions are big questions. They're big life questions. And sure, I guess we could dig around in them ourselves, right? But sometimes it's great to have somebody to be like, yeah, it's okay. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Right? Partner on that.
I was recently watching a documentary on Netflix, and in it, Harry Belafonte is quoted as saying, it's the artist that reveals society to itself. And
Yeah.
I think similarly, it's coaches that can help reveal people to themselves and help them be known. And, there's all types of places that we can get support, but it's nice to have that container held for you where you can be seen and witnessed and, even held with some like code of ethics and
Right.
just in a neutral space with
Yeah.
someone. It's really powerful when that happens. It's different than going to a colleague or a friend.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
those are coaching moments too. It's just they're different.
Yeah, it is. And it's
Yeah.
different. And the different tools we bring, the different coaching modalities, like how that all shows up. I
Yeah.
100% agree. Like it's just so, a friend of mine was like, well, what if there's too many coaches? And I'm like, nope, not gonna happen,
Not
right?
possible.
The world's
Yeah.
big, not too
Yeah.
many coaches, right? Um,
Yeah.
which is part of the reason I'm doing this is I am a big believer, and I think you know this about me, in abundance, not scarcity. And I think sometimes coaches get a little hoarding about their space, and that's my client. And I was like, nah, nah, nah. I got some
Yeah.
people that are great coaches. If I'm not your coach, someone is, right? So that was part of why I wanted to do this.
Yeah, I mean, that flip-flopping between abundance and scarcity is a real human thing, actually. Like coaches are humans and we all have moments. But yeah, I think one of the roles we play is to help ourselves and help other people stay in that mindset of abundance and what that really means.
Yeah,
Because
totally.
that whole about like being in this mindset of abundance, that can start to get really trite. And
Real
I
quick,
think,
right?
yeah, real quick, like, oh, I was gonna pretend that everything's great.
Right.
That it's
Yeah.
not that either. And it's not like, oh, I'm
No.
just gonna believe that I have lots of things in my life.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I recently told someone that all of the stuff around the law of attraction is real. It's just a slight pivot off religion. So you got to decide what you're like, how close do you want to get to it? And what is your responsibility? What are you going to do? And I'm not saying like people can believe whatever they want on religion, law of attraction, all of that. But like there's also action. And there's like, how do you set intention and then take an action? Right. And I think sometimes having a coach to be like, that's a good thought. It's great. Now what? Right. What are you going to do?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yeah, well, and part of, I mean, like you made the reference to religion, like I'm coming at this from similar angle, having been in healing arts and
Yeah.
being a healer, which is
Yeah.
I think it's another word like coach that's a little bit like, but really, the point being is like, I do believe in the energetics of life. And, we have quantum physics proving this on the one
Yes.
hand, right?
Yes.
We all know as humans, like we are energetic beings and we have a felt sense of this to whatever degree we're able to understand it. And it is true that the energy that you generate and that you put out, it
Yeah.
comes back to you.
Totally.
And we all know that in one way or another, and we have different ways of categorizing and making sense of that. But
Absolutely.
it's a real thing. So yeah, abundance and
Yeah.
energetics, it's a key part of all this.
Yeah, totally. And I'm not, I hope it didn't seem like I was belittling religion
No, no,
or
no, 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 I'm right there with you, right there
yeah,
with you.
but it is, I'm with you. I mean, I practice Reiki and I'm a Reiki practitioner, same thing. And it's like people are like, okay, really? And I'm like, I can't explain it. I just know that it works, right?
Yeah.
So
No, I
it's
I
about
was see I
energy.
was seeing it as us being in very similar camps. Like
Yeah,
for me, that is my spiritual
yeah,
slant.
yeah.
And
Totally.
it is like, that is my God religion. So
Right.
it was more just to show how it's
Yeah.
all one big thing.
I totally agree. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So when you think about sort of the people you love to work with, like just the ideal client or person that you're like, oh, this is my jam. Who is it?
Yeah. Well, so I love people who are either in a big transition or thinking about one. And I know that sounds pretty generic, but yeah, it's like someone who's considering a bit, whether it's like, and just these rites of passages. It can be like graduating high school or college and about to enter adult life, or as we all know, big career changes, wanting to make one or about to make one, marriage, divorce, parenthood, moving,
Yeah.
elderhood, a lifestyle shift. Like I want to change the way I'm living, and I have all of these familial and generational constructs kind of holding me in these patterns, and I want to conceive and design something different for myself.
Yeah.
Those are my ideal clients, and especially because I feel like those things are sort of these normal rites of passage in our life, but it can be extra challenging to access your self-authority
Yeah.
and self-awareness when there's other challenges. And we, like you said early, it's like it's a little extra crazy. Things are a little extra challenging. And so having the ability to navigate those things can be even harder in the times that we're in. So that's what I really like. That's kind of my sweet spot, is helping people through that.
I love that. And I think, I mean, so often we're all either coming out of a transition or we're going to go into one. There is no like human who just gets a nice static life that doesn't involve change, right? And if
Wait,
there
there
are,
isn't?
I'm sorry, did I just dispel the hope of all humanity? Damn it. Sorry, everyone. I mean, the person with the best life in this particular thing is the cat. He has
Right.
like he has no responsibility and I feed him. So
That's right. That's right.
but other than that, even
Yeah.
his life is filled with change, right? He has a
Yeah.
kitten, he's moved around the world, right? And I think to your point, so often the transitions we go through, there are questions to be asked, and sometimes we don't know what they are. We're just sort of like, do I go forward? Do I stand still? Do I go backwards? What do I do? And having someone to ask us questions and say, what do you want? Right? Where are you going to go? What do you need?
Totally. Well, and to get underneath and really challenge assumptions that you're making, I think a lot of us are asleep to the agreements we've made with
Yes.
ourselves about life and what's possible. And we just don't even realize that there's all these operating assumptions that we're living within. And I really feel like coaching, to your point, can help bust through, go like, oh, I was just assuming that this was how it is,
Yeah.
right? There are, quantum physics tells us, and there's a bunch of other things, like there are infinite possibilities for how you get to live your life. You are the designer of that. I was just listening to a podcast. God, I wish I could remember. It's this Japanese principle that and it kind of comes from Buddhism, but when translated, it basically says in every moment, there are 3,000 options available to you in every single moment. Which one are you going to choose?
I love that.
Right. And
Yeah.
so really, like, not that you need to look at 3,000 options, but to know that there is this abundant set of choices available to you, and that you get to design that, I think is a really powerful construct to step in. And it's it can be a
Yeah.
big mind shift for some
Totally.
people.
Totally.
Yeah.
To your point, we all have these limitations that we picked up in along the way, as children, as adults, whatever, culturally, that sometimes we just need a little bit of like, hey, there's more options than these two, right? These are extremes. What's in the middle? What are all the things,
Yeah.
right?
Well, and to find like to find the stretch, and then find the implementation of that feels authentic to you,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? This is not about throwing out necessarily some of the things that provide you structure and
Yeah.
give your life fabric and hold you together. But this is what I mean about the binary thinking.
Yeah.
It's like there's value in the structure and the fabric and the things that hold you in
Yeah.
life. But then the like there's also an aspect of it that can keep you trapped,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
how do you tease those things apart and be in the middle of those tensions and find the sweet spot of that, where
Yeah.
it's holding you but not trapping you,
Right.
and
Yeah.
and get into that middle ground of like liberation
Yeah.
and a little bit more freedom.
Yeah. It reminds me, I always tell people like, because someone will say, "Oh, you're so courageous," and I'm like, how did you overcome your fear?" I'm like, I didn't. I was courageous and afraid at the same time,
Yeah,
right? Like I
exactly.
can do the courageous thing while shaking in my shoes, but I know I should do the courageous thing, right? And that dichotomy, we sometimes like that. That's where we talk about teasing things apart. I am held by the world and wanting to be courageous and have that as a value, and I'm afraid of and trapped by the fear I have, right? And so how can I make those two things work together and still move forward into the thing that I want to be, right? Which is courageous and brave, right?
Mm,
And I
yes.
think that's, for me, that's the one that comes to mind, that it's like this tension that I can be both. I can speak my mind and my voice can shake, right? Those two things can happen, right? I can tell you what I think and cry, right? At the same time, right?
Yep.
So
And it doesn't invalidate what
doesn't
I
change anything, right? It doesn't change anything. Oh, it's funny. So,
yeah.
one question I've been asking everyone is like, if there is a myth about coaching or a belief about coaching that you could sort of wave fairy dust at and say, go away, myth or thought, what would it be?
I mean, I think, well, one of the thing is like, I just think coaching's for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like literally, it's for everyone. It's not if you're in a certain level of leadership position, or that you like, just because you're getting coaching doesn't mean that you're a mess or that you need help. It's like we all need help
Yeah.
all of the time.
Yeah.
And talking about abundance, like I just think we are all meant to be in this infinity loop of abundance and giving
Yeah.
and creating gratitude. And so yeah, I just feel like this is for everyone. And it's actually part of why I've structured my practice so that to remove barriers for people
Yes.
with sliding scale and certain offers. I really just feel like finances should never be a barrier for someone getting the support they need. And I also think the other alongside of that, I don't think coaching has to be this long-term, every like once a week for blah,
Forever.
blah. Like, I really do think in 1, 2, maybe 3 sessions, you can really get really shifted, make some orientations, and feel really relaunched and regenerated in your life. And
Yeah.
so it's like, even just one session
Yeah.
can change a life.
Yeah. I just actually added to my sessions, I added a 90-minute, like, if you want 90 minutes of my time, you want to meet with me one time, let's do that. Right? Like, let's dive in. You tell me what's going on, let's go. Right. And
Yeah,
let's kind of call it the breakthrough, right? Like, do you want to just spend a chunk of time with me and work on a problem? Let's do it. Right?
yeah,
It doesn't have to be 4 sessions or 3 months or whatever. It can be tighter, right?
yeah,
So
yeah. So that's kind of that's where I would
yeah, I love it.
with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. How
So
about you? What do
yeah,
you think?
say that.
Are there other myths that you would dispel about coaching?
I think that, so the one that always gets me is like, that coaches, I think this idea that coaches don't have any training, anybody can be a life coach. And I'm like, okay, sure. Anybody can say they're a life coach. But then there are those of us who have spent time, effort, money, um, not just life experience, but all of it takes to train and find training and tools and, all the methods and learning all these things, that I'm like, that's not that simple. Like, yes, anyone can be a coach,
Yeah,
but you're looking for quality and for fit, right? And so I think
yeah,
that's the thing I would say. Like, I think that there's a little area of coaching that is a bit of sort of charlatans who sell, the dream. I'll give you 1 million. If you come to my class, you'll make $1 million. And I'm like,
yeah,
don't do that.
yeah.
Don't do that.
I'm really glad that you said that, because I feel like with every profession, there's like the bad actors, like the
Yeah.
bad chiropractor that like we've all heard the stories about different. So I think, and coaching's no exception. There's
Right.
definitely that, but I do think what you're saying is important to me as a coach, because and I even bring in some of what I've learned about healing and
Yeah.
holding space as a
Yeah.
healer. Like you really learn how to hold that lens of neutrality, where the person is naturally creative, resourceful, and whole. They have the answers within, and you really have, and they're getting whatever they need. Like, you have to
Yeah.
be unattached to the outcome.
Yes.
And that is a really hard, like, we have a really hard time with that as humans,
Yeah, totally.
as in the work world, in our personal lives, we want to just we're really somehow invested or want to make uncomfortable things go away.
Right.
And so you're
Right.
right, like we are trained as coaches to really have the skills and tools to
Yeah.
be neutral, and that's really important in someone feeling held and listened to, and like they have authority and agency of their lives.
Yes.
I feel like that's one of the biggest things about coaching and being trained. And I mean, I'm simplifying, but you're like the hours and investments in the
Yeah.
training, the retraining that you go through to be to have an art to be artful
Yeah.
and skilled at that is real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. I love that you said that. I think it's so, so important. And it's just that, because as product managers, we're like, I need an outcome. I'm going to solve a problem. I'm going to do, and as a coach, I'm like, nope. I'm going to show up and hold the space, right?
That's right.
Because you
That's
have the
right.
answer, right? And it's like, let me change this part of my life so that I could be this part, but it's taken work. And so I value the work I've done for me, but also for my clients and for the clients of my friends who are also
Yeah.
coaches. So
Well, I mean, what I feel like what you just spoke to is about being whole and
yeah,
integral.
yeah,
Like you don't want there are times where you need a push, you need to make things actionable. So having someone that knows how to dance in the space and hold you with neutrality,
yeah,
but also challenge you
yeah.
and help you make things real. Like as product managers, we are masters of making things real.
Right, right.
Right.
For sure.
So that background is very applicable, just different lens,
Yes, exactly.
different
No,
context.
it's true. It's totally true.
Yeah.
Totally true.
Yeah.
So, Becky, are you accepting clients? And if so, what's the best way to find you?
Yeah, I'm definitely accepting new clients. My practice is open, and I have two URLs because my name is hard to spell correctly. So
Really?
I also go by Rituals Rising. It's plural
Yeah.
ritual, and
Okay.
that sort of helps encompass the work that I do with coaching and healing. But BeckyPezely.com goes to the same place.
Okay. Awesome.
But if people don't know how to spell that, so Rituals Rising is easy, might
Yeah.
be easier
And
to
it's right
remember.
down here. So
That's,
anybody who's watching
yeah,
us can see all the information. You don't have to learn how to spell it. We got this.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you can find me at my website. It talks about everything that I do, and you can schedule. It has all my availability and
Awesome.
scheduling from there, so people can schedule exploration sessions with me if they just want to like feel it out, and
Yeah.
then go from there. Yeah.
I'm so
Yeah.
excited. I can't wait to hear how it keeps going as you go forward. So I'm excited for it.
Thank you. Well, it's so good to have you in my corner and get to support each other. Yeah. So
I love it.
thank you.
I
Thanks
love
for
it.
doing this. This is so
Yeah,
cool.
thanks for doing this with me. I really appreciate it.
It's
All
my
right.
pleasure.
All right.
All
Bye.
right. Bye.